The memories from 1995, for any of you remember that one. Anyways, as I mentioned earlier, we have a special guest in the studio, and this is a special segment. We'll talk back and, of course, Community Corner on break. This special segment, of course, made possible by our friends from the Department of Works and Highways. Now, joining me this afternoon, as I made mention earlier, is none other than the Acting Secretary for the Department of Works and Highways, Gibson Holemba, who joins me this afternoon and has been quite busy. Of course, they made a huge launch on Wednesday, the launch of the Corporate Plan 2025 to 2029. Apart from that, the road management and maintenance plan that was also launched as well, technical audit policy that was launched, and finally, the revamped website as such. But with that being said, we have a very, very busy, dedicated secretary in the studio with us, Mr. Holemba. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kelligan, for having me here. Good afternoon, Papua New Guinea. Good afternoon to everyone who is listening. Thank you for giving us your ears to listen. And I'm so pleased that I'm here with the Kalang FM to also promote what we are doing at Department of Works.
Now, for the Department of Works, very, very quickly, people might say, okay, they think Works is responsible for highways and roads and whatnot. But is there another definition of Works that we, the general public, might not be aware of as to what exactly is the role and responsibility of the Department of Works and Highways?
That's a very good question. Department of Works has gone through a lot of reform process since 1971, before the independence. The 1971 legislation talks about the Road Maintenance Act, which department has been doing its own road maintenance practices all along. And then when it came through the different reform process, it was known as Department of Works, Public Works. Eventually it becomes the Department of Transport and Works. Mm-hmm. And then it brought to Department of Works and Supplies. Eventually it becomes Department of Works and Implementation. And recent reform in 2020, it has been named Department of Works and Highways. Why it is named as Department of Works and Highways is because in that particular reform, we've amended the legislation on the National Road Maintenance Act of 1971 and created the Road Management Act of 2020. Also rebuilt the legislation of NRA Act of 2003 and also created the Highway Management Division under the department, which creates all the national highways to be under the Department of Works. So that reform changed the name and now it gives us that mandate to oversee the entire road network by the Department of Works and Highways. But not only that, we also, under that mandate, we have the Building Act of 1994, Chapter 301, which is under the current, our mandate. At the same time, we also legislated the Connect BNG Act of 2021. So three main legislations that is our mandate at the moment, implementing that, and including to that our minister still also oversees the IAPNG Act of 2007 and also the Architects Act. So those are legislations that basically our mandate covers, in which the reform agenda of the government is concerned.
Now, as we are pressed for time, very, very quickly, yourself personally, your story coming to this point now where you are the acting secretary, replacing another long-serving secretary in the likes of David Were, done his time as well. For yourself, how many years with the department?
Right now, I'm making the 15 years into practice. I started work in Department of Works since 2010 as a graduate engineer coming out from Unitech. I started work fixing the potholes in Lae. So. Wow. The pothole city in Lae, if you see, that's my handiwork. I came out and I started patching all the potholes and building the concrete roads.
The concrete roads, that's right.
Yes, and so I started my career in Department of Works in Lae. I went for training in New Ireland, and I started as a trainee engineer in New Ireland and then got transferred to Works in Lae. Since then, 2015, I was promoted to Works Manager in New Ireland. I went up there and looked after New Ireland. And then in 2016, I got a scholarship. I went to Japan for 3 years. I did my master's in structural engineering. And I came back. I was pushed back to Morobe as a works manager again. After that, I was promoted to a first assistant secretary and then to a deputy for the last 2 years, 7, 8 months. And now I'm here almost 4 months into my new role as the acting secretary.
Well, congratulations on achievement itself, and great to see young men like yourself coming through the ranks all the way through. And now at least I know who was responsible for the cement roads in Lae. So thank you very much, Mr. Olapa.
You are talking to the person.
Now, if we touch on that, we're gonna be talking on another subject altogether. Now, regarding the corporate plan 2025 to 2029, you launched it recently. For this, what's the primary objective of the corporate plan? And I do understand, as you stated in your speech, all of this done within the first 100 days.
Yes.
As one of your key objectives that you achieved within 100 days. Tell us about the corporate plan.
Now, when I came into office in August, we had a very mammoth task to do, because the corporate plan of the current corporate plan we have of 2019 to 2024 ends by 31st of December, which is just next week. And that particular corporate plan didn't capture the Connect PNG program. It was basically our road maintenance programs that were captured into the objective of the development of it. So this particular corporate plan is very critical, because we are now implementing the Connect PNG program. Connect PNG program came in 2020 as the NEC approved in NEC DCN 113 and 1132. And then the enactment of the Connect PNG Act of 2021. So it came into the life of the current corporate plan. That is why when we are creating this new one, it's very critical, because we now have to bring in the priorities of government into the current corporate plan, implementing the phase one of the Connect PNG program from 2021 into 2027. And then the phase two commences in 2028, going into 2034. So this current corporate plan has a transition point in which the phase one has to end, and then we go over to the phase two. So we got to marry the transition part, where we got to prioritize the government's priorities on the 10 corridors of phase one, and then going into the next phase on the phase two program. So that is why it's very critical for us to have that vision of government captured into our corporate plan, identified, and give us our strategy priority areas, where we can delegate it to each of our divisional heads and activity heads so that they can implement it over the life of the Connect PNG program phase one, going into phase two.
Now, are there particular key targets or key goals that you have to achieve by 2029?
Correct. The phase one program of the Connect PNG is focusing on the 10 main economic corridors. Corridor like Momase corridor from Wutung to Waterise, including the coastal section between coming into Side Road from Medeng, to Wasu, back to Sialum, coming out to Finsafen, and down to the Lae. At the same time, the transnational, the main priority corridor number one, from Lae 9 Mile all the way to Bulolo, down to Menyama and to Epo in Kerema, and then coming up the southern corridor from Hiritano in Kerema all the way to Port Moresby, down to Kadaisu and to Millen Bay East Cape. So those are, and then the Highlands corridor from Lae all the way up to Kopiago to Telefomin. So the current corridors that we run, the 10 main corridors, is looking at the current priority of government is to connect Wutung to Alatau by 2027, before 2027 the program ends. The phase one program ends. So our priority target by government is that by next year, September 16th, the independence, the golden year jubilee, we will have to connect between Morobe and Central and to Millen Bay. So that is why this corporate plan is very, very important, and it's the high target for government is for us to connect because of the high potential economic corridors, that is between the transnational and the southern corridor and Momase corridor, connecting to the Highlands corridor. So the corporate plan identifies those key objectives of government, the direction, including the MDTB4, which was the current government's priority agenda. MDTB4 Deep 2.1 talks about the Connect PNG infrastructure, and 2.1 talks about the Connect PNG roads. And that is how we are aligning our implementation programs to the medium-term development plan number 4, the National Transport Strategy, and the medium-term transport plan number 2 and number 3, which is currently in draft. So at a high level, at the policy level, that's how the policy framework cascades down to where we are with the corporate plan. And so that's basically from Vision 2050 to DSP, Development Strategic Plan, down to the medium-term development plan number 4.
Now, just rushing through, of course, we are pressed for time. For the road management plan, when you're considering that, road management and maintenance plan that was also launched as well.
Yeah.
Now, one common critique that we've heard about Connect PNG, which many have issues with the connectivity. They said it's always a funding issue every time. The funding issue saying that if we're so focused on putting new roads and infrastructure coming out, many times we don't have the funding to maintain the existing roads. Does the road management maintenance plan and corporate the corporate plan itself, how do they tie in to address this problem?
That's a very, very, very good question, and I would like to tell our listeners who are listening that in the road business, maintenance is priority. You got to take care of what you have before you start bringing in new roads.
Yes.
And so that is something that has never been done in our last 10, 20 years. We have really neglected the maintenance, and so many of our national highways were falling apart. Because in our government budget, we have two budget submissions, which is a recurrent budget for existing infrastructure maintenance, and we have a development budget for investment programs. Unfortunately, the investment budget is being prioritized over the recurrent budget, the maintenance budget. But let me thank the current government, Mara Barroso government, for giving us almost 100 million kina to do our maintenance work starting next year, 2025. And so the corporate plan and the road maintenance plan marries in the sense that our objective right now under the current Road Management Act is to take care of the existing road network and manage it and maintain it. So having to have that responsibility being passed on from NRA Act of 2003 onto Department of Works, that means that we will now have to take care of the existing roads. So what we have done so far is that under the National Road Network Strategy 2018 to 2037, we have two streams. One is the sustain and maintain the existing network, and the second stream is to expand and develop the new network, that is doing the new roads. Priority is maintenance first. We need to take care of what we have because there's already having traffic, there's business running, we need to keep them up and running. So that is why we've now developed the 15-year road maintenance plan so that we take care of the existing road like the Sepik Highway, the New Britain Highway, the Highlands Highway, the Ramu Highway, Wau-Bulalo, the Bulumensky Highway, the Bougainville Trunk Road, Hiritano, Magi. Those are our key national highways that runs the economy of this country. We got to look after them, cut the grass. Maintenance basically means that we have to cut the grass, clean the drain, patch the potholes, fix the lights, so that the roads is continue to serve the industry. While when we have extra funding, we build new roads and bring them in. So that is why the road maintenance plan is very key to us, and it's dear to us because we got to take care of our current network, which is already producing business to us. So that is why the road maintenance is very, very important, and we launched it to start the maintenance program.
Now, especially when it comes to maintenance and maintenance, speed and efficiency one thing. When you are trying to incorporate, when you're trying to roll out, of course, the road maintenance management and maintenance plan itself, you have your regional managers, and then you have your provincial managers itself. For this program, would they be looking at allocating some funding to the subnational level, or would everything still be operated from headquarters?
Okay, that's a very good point. Before I touched on that, let me give you another additional insight into the road industry.
Yes, please.
Currently, we are doing we have enacted under the Road Management Act, PNG Road Fund. Now, PNG Road Funds is a special purpose vehicle which collects road-related fees like the fuel levies, which we share with Treasury to support the budget. At the same time, we only get 40 out of it, which goes through the trust account to service the maintenance, which we collect around 50 million in a year to do road maintenance. Now, this year, we allocated 25 million kina for road maintenance. The sustainable of the road network is to have a dedicated fund. And that is why we've established the road fund. The road fund is to collect those fees, even with the Road Traffic Authority, collecting those licenses fees, driver licensing, vehicle licensing, heavy vehicle licensing, and also in the future we will bring in toll roads. So if you travel abroad, you will see toll roads. You have to go through a gate, you pay fee, and you drive. So it's a user pay kind of arrangement.
Yep.
So that legislation is currently under draft. We'll push it to cabinet, and so that is an off-the-budget solution.
Great.
The user pays for the fees for the road that is driving, so that they continue to maintain that road for the service. Right now, budget is very constrained, It's a constrained budget.
True.
Where we don't prioritize maintenance because we have a limited budget. And that is something that we are doing off the budget solution for sustainable road maintenance going forward. And so people like transport sector program under OSAID has been really supporting us doing maintenance. Now we're being road fund. So eventually when we prioritize maintenance, those are key partners like ADB and World Bank. And Chaika, they come in to fund investment programs. But TSSB is focusing more on the maintenance works. And that is why we are partnered with them to support us to do the road maintenance. But coming back to your first, the current question on the delegation and the allocation of funds.
Yes.
In terms of road maintenance, that's why we do an annual work plan, that's where corporate plan comes in. Each activity as regional manager looks after almost the provincial works managers. So the works managers will develop their annual work plans based on the road condition surveys we conduct annually. Then we prioritize which one goes for rehabilitation, which one goes for upgrading, which one goes for routine maintenance. They submit those work plans, then we procure, and then we implement. So that's how, and then we break up the funding to allocate to each of those provinces, depending on the road condition surveys and the cost estimate related to those condition surveys. So that's how we are now planning to implement another current road maintenance plan.
That's awesome. I had a similar discussion with Governor Pakop, and I suggested the idea, and I said, listen, you go to Melbourne or just down south, anyone who's speeding, anyone who does a traffic infringement, you've got CCTV cameras that actually capture everything.
I agree.
They get, they pretty much, they make a good amount of money from traffic infringements.
Correct.
In this case. I told him, here I'm driving in Mosby, at the time, license too.
Correct.
So I'm saying, why can't we penalize those people? Get them to pay fines. That money goes into fixing our roads, our drainages in the city.
Agree.
And now we're talking about the road fund, which I love the idea. I mean, if you're going to be using an infrastructure, you have to pay to use it.
Correct.
Not everything's free.
Right.
We've got to come to that concept and realize that eventually.
Agree. The challenge with us here is the enforcement. That's all.
Yes.
There's laws already there. Road Traffic Authority Act is there. The Transport Infrastructure Protection Act is there. That also has fees and charges. Unfortunately, we are not equally enforcing that through RTA, through police, so that we can collect those fees to sustain the road network. So I think you are very correct about that.
Got to be a user pay. We got to do user pay, people. You by user pay, using power. Same approach. Same approach. Now, also, just coming through the technical audit policy with that one. With the technical audit policy, we're looking at ensuring accountability. Can you explain how that improves the transparency and the quality of our infrastructure projects?
Thank you, Callaghan, for that very, very good question. Accountability is something that is always missing in many of our government departments, where we don't account for what money has been given.
Yes.
To us, Connect PNG Act of 2021 legislates 5.6% of the national budget. For every year, the national government has to allocate, based on whatever budget figure is, 5.6% should come for Connect PNG program. Sometimes the funding doesn't come as per the legislation. But whatever money that government is giving us, we have a requirement under the Connect PNG Act to report to Parliament and to Cabinet 6 monthly and to Parliament annually on the performance of the infrastructure projects that the government has funded.
Yes.
And so technical audit policy that we've developed is an internal audit process to have self-accountable system. That I need to account to whatever fund that government is giving to me as a Section 32 officer of the agency.
Yes, true.
And so, and my staff and the partners who come and give us development funding, like through loans and through grants, we got to report back on the accountability. We might have a quantity of work. Quantity is high, but the quality of work that we deliver, it's very important. We measure quality based on the standards and specifications to make sure that value for money is achieved. And that is why the technical audit policy is developed from the start. The project initiation all the way to project commissioning, that process needs to be audited and accounted so that we comply with the entire process. And so it qualifies with entire government laws and the processes of procurement from design stage, from feasibility study to construction and to completion. So the entire process is being audited by independent branch that we have established, the technical audit branch.
Yes. By
our staff, so that we also self-account. So the third-party audit is always available. We can always bring in some independent consultants to come and audit, or even in this case, the government, as you heard from the launching, the Deputy Prime Minister has announced to us that the NEC has already approved for an independent audit committee like KPMG to be coming auditing our the expenditure of those public funds. That is welcomed, so that we account to whatever expenditure of government. This is people's money, public money. Everybody needs to know, and so that's how the technical audit policy was developed, so that I account for myself before someone else come and ask me how I spend that money. I have to be accountable to what I spend. So we have launched that policy basically to make sure that I am accountable to what money is being given to me. At the same time, it's part of also training so that our engineers step up to the role, so that they also bring the ethics and code of practice. It's not just about funding, but it's about technical policy that we need to make sure that the specifications are adhered to. They implement according to the design standards, according to the construction standards. Sometimes people complain that the quality of work is very poor. And so it's not just about auditing money, but it's also looking at the technical specifications. Are we actually doing it according to the specifications, or are we just doing it without having to consult the specs? So that's basically where we are covering both financial and technical in the aspects of the audit.
So now you have the policy that's in place.
Correct.
Thank goodness. Now, also assisting the policy, the technical audit policy as well, ensuring accountability and transparency in this one. You've also revamped your website too as well. And now, as you mentioned, the public and anyone can easily go and follow.
Correct.
The work, which particular roads are being under construction, all of that is all now available on the website.
True.
Could you please expand on that?
All right. So that is something that we love to promote now. As you can see from the naysayers who are saying bad, maybe negative critics about the Connect PNG program.
Yes.
It is because of, I think that is because of lack of information dissemination.
Yes.
They don't really understand what Connect PNG is all about, which roads are Connect PNG, who is doing it, how much of it has been completed. So the public is yet to know what actually happened and which roads are being constructed, how much of that has been achieved. So in our pursuit to provide public proper factual information before someone goes on social media and send some misreporting, we have those reports published online. So you just go on our webpage, www.works.gov.bg, and you see the Connect PNG page. In that page, you will have 13 corridors, and the 14 is the provincial trunk road. In that, you will see highway by highway, road by road, the contracts by contracts, the projects, everything are listed. The photos will be uploaded, the project completion reports, everything will be online. So you go and see for yourself and have to also get some information out of it. So the website that we've developed is basically also to inform, at the same time also make some, our accountability, where transparency, information is transparent. Everybody knows about what's happening. This is a government money, public funding. We got to put it in public reports. And because we already table it in Parliament and NEC, so it's a public information. They need to know what is happening because the government money has been spent on public infrastructure. And that is why we have revamped the website. And the website is dynamic, in meaning that it will be real time.
True.
So if the road cuts off in Waubulolo, the works manager and the team on the ground, whoever has the access, they get a picture, they upload it and say, the road is closed. We ask the traffic to slow down, we'll do the diversion, these things happening. Or if you complete the road, then basically that particular flash comes on board the screen and then said, we are doing a new launching on this project. The minister is speaking, the prime minister is speaking, those things happening. So it's a real time. We want to make it real time. People know the factual information right on time.
Thank you very much. That's great to see. And of course, the Department of Works also aligning with the digital transformation policy. So great to see that happening. Now, also, finally, in closing, we are running out of time. In closing, your message to Papua New Guinea. I think one of the greatest things that I spoke about this year was when I had Kili Tamboa from BSP. He sat where you were sitting and he told me about the opening of Teleform in BSP branch.
Oh, this is very nice.
While we were doing the opening, the first car came through all the way from Kiunga.
It's a beautiful story.
Story named the man made a cry. I think it was such a big thing. And they forget about the big opening, and everyone was crying and seeing the car coming in. It talks about the testament of Connect PNG itself. From your point, what's your message to the people of Papua New Guinea regarding the department's long-term vision and the ongoing efforts under the Marape Rosso government?
Thank you, Kelgan. Let me give comfort to our people on this Christmas Eve about the Connect PNG program. The Connect PNG program of government is a very, very good initiative, flagship program. The program has nothing wrong with it. It is an issue of oversight. which we are making some corrections on how to administer and deliver, the project delivery mechanisms on how to administer the projects and implement and make sure that we are accountable to that funding. So most of those accusations are coming from that point. But the Connect PNG program is a very nice program. It's designed to unleash the economic potential of this country. I was presenting at the investment conference last week, 2 weeks ago, at Sydney, and I was putting all the maps of how the economic resources are sitting on the Connect PNG network.
Yes.
So you were mentioning about the telephone, and I mentioned this to my minister. That minister, at the conclusion of the phase 1 of the Connect PNG program, the 3 national highways will be connecting at the telephone station. The Highlands Highway will no longer stop at Copiago. It will now stop at telephone station. The Transfly Border Corridor will start from Oriomo all the way to Telefomin. The Sundown Border Corridor starts from Wanimo all the way to Telefomin. So Telefomin will become a major hub where there will be trade happening. Because you have ExxonMobil down in Hela, you have Freedom Mine down in Telefomin towards the head of Sepik River. You have Octady Mine right next to Telefomin station. So there will be heavy economic activity translating across the main corridors. So that's the big picture of what Connect PNG is all about. And now we are cutting the road from Menyama down to airport in Kerema. Of 50 kilometers from Kerema into where the new cut is, where new roads we are constructing. We have 8 kilometers from TNH50. You have the Papua LNG. It's where it's giving the access to our total energies to now go and so that. Otherwise, it will be a heavy investment on the infrastructure, building new 58 kilometer or 60 kilometer road into the plant side. So you see how that Connect PNG program is aligned is basically going into the most economic routes that brings in more economic revenue back to the government and to the country. So that is why in the long run, after the 20 years of the program will be paid out from the investments of government that will be coming through the road.
Wow.
So that is why let me assure our people that we are doing our best to make sure that we connect across the country. 13 economic corridors are connecting every part of this land. From Wutung to Escape, from Wutung all the way to Oriomo to Daru Island. We are connecting in between from Daru to Moro, back to Kikori, and then going across to Kerema. We are also connecting all the way from Medeng, from Yakumbu, up to Bramen, to Kundiawa, Kembo, coming down to Gumini, coming to Karamui, down to Purari, back to Kerema. That's the Medeng, Chimbu, Gulf corridor. Then the Highlands corridor, as I've mentioned, the New Britain Highway, New Britain corridor between Kokopo to Kimbe, across to Talasia, coming back to Open Bay, going up to Pomio and connecting back. So South Coast Corridor and the New Britain Corridor, the New Island entire loop, the Manus, the Bougainville as we speak, we are working on the entire trunk road, plus the missing link from Sierra going into Koropovi, then connecting to Torokina, to CY, and then back to Buin. So we are working on all fronts, pushing the agenda of government to give access to our rural people who are inside the hinterlands. They don't have opportunity like the Telefomin. 49 years, they've been landlocked. They couldn't really have an opportunity to come out and drive. And I was there when Minister went and opened the bridge, the Sepik River Bridge at the top of Telefomin, which allowed a car to cross. It's a sight that those of us who live in town, if you go up there, you will just see how these people were so amazed.
Things we take for granted.
Things we take for granted. For 49 years, they couldn't see a vehicle. They couldn't able to drive. And from that day on, now people are coming down all the way to Kiunga, to Tabubel, enjoying the trade between the two provinces. So, Callaghan, the future of this country after the completion of the Connect PNG program will be enormous. The economy will be thriving. The roads will be giving us advantage. And on that note, we're also introducing now railway systems under the current MTTP4.
Wow.
We are now developing railway network, and we are now looking at already starting to develop the policy. Our transport department is taking lead, putting a policy submission to cabinet for approval, and we'll now bring in feasibility studies by next year budget. So we're already looking at another alternative for freight traffic to move traffic quickly out of the resource areas and where commodity cocoa, coffee, and copra to the shipping ports. So at the land transport, we are already talking about thinking ahead of 20 years where the investment can lead us. So let me assure our people that Connect PNG is a good program. Support it wherever you are. Our contractors who are working very hard, tirelessly with the limited funding we are paying them, at least keeping one pace at a time, connecting one village, one community, so that eventually by the end of 2040 program, our country will be connected by road. We don't want to leave anyone behind.
Secretary Holeba, I'd like to thank you so much for your time this afternoon and giving us an insight onto the role of the department and some of the great initiatives that are being undertaken. And we'll definitely be following your progress in 2025 moving forward. But from us here at FM 100 and Kalang Advertising Limited, I would like to thank you for your time and wish you and the hardworking men and women of the Department of Works and Highways a blessed Merry Christmas. And again, thank you for your commitment and your service to this country.
Thank you. It was my pleasure talking to the air and to the people of Papua New Guinea, and to let me thank Kalang FM for giving us the opportunity. Let me wish you all Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Please celebrate in style and be safe. And we'll see you in 2025. And let's celebrate big time in 2025 because it's a golden year celebration. By that time, I want to invite all of you to drive from Escape in Milne Bay all the way to Tari, and let's celebrate in Tari where Prime Minister belongs. Thank you.
With that being said, again, if you'd like to catch a copy of this interview or see the interview live, log on to FM 100's Facebook page. That's FM 100 Papua New Guinea. Make sure to like the page. We are about 85,000 and growing, so please take it all the way up. Take it all the way up to 100,000. Share the page. And again, the special interview, it's available online on our Facebook page as well. But with that being said, also let me remind you, check out the Department of Works newly revamped website, www.works.gov.pg, and check out that newly launched website. Trust me, it's an eye-opener for many of us who wonder exactly which roads and which future roads are coming in the country. You check out that website. Again, www.works.gov.pg. I'm Kalagan Tana. This has been a special interview on FM 100. You've got the Talk Machine Bulletin and then JT on Drive Time coming up next. Have a top safe one. Merry Christmas. God bless.